Okay guys, so this is my main Indian blue worm bin that we're looking in. And this is the one that always, I'm going to try to tilt it, see if we can get a better angle here. Yeah, I would need to stick something underneath it. Alright, it's tilted up a little bit now, it's better. So this is the Indian blue worm bin. A whole bunch of stuff in here that was on the top. And of course you can see where the stuff was covered. It's a lot cleaner looking on top than where the covering wasn't, because the worms, it stays more moist and the worms come up and do what they do. But this is always impressive for worm balls, and that's one of the things I like about this bin. Now I think, I'm trying to remember what the last feeding this bin got was, and I can't remember, but look at this. This is a ball of worms. Oh, they got tomatoes. That's right. Some tomatoes that I'd taken out of the freezer from my summer's garden. I mean, and that's just a small fraction of the worms that are in here. No matter where I scoop, there's worm balls. And then on this dry side, where the stems are, there's usually worm activity, but I'm not seeing as much. So apparently what I put in the middle is got them going insane. And I always love the Indian blues because they get the job done. They know what they want and they know how to get it. Look at this. You can almost hear them. I just love it. Just love it. You gotta love worms to be crazy enough to be doing this anyway, right? I mean, so yeah, it looks like whatever's left of their food, it's right in the center there. And they're loving it. But now this was the bin. I mean, look at this. This is worms. Beautiful. This was the bin that, well, this was my main bin, but I had split it up into two. And now this became the baby bin. Obviously, they're not babies anymore. Beyond breeding prolifically, they grow rapidly as well. So the baby bin now, I put some material right in the center to try to bait them out. And what I put is some applesauce and some corn flour sprinkled on the applesauce. Look at these little guys sticking to me. Oh, you can see there's a potworm there too. It's fine. There's no potworm bloom in a massive population. There's always going to be an occasional critter. And since this has fruit in it, you're going to have a couple of potworms. But they do what the worms do. And as long as they will never get out of control unless your bin is acidic. A few is fine. A potworm bloom, even that wouldn't hurt the worms. But it's an indicator that your bin is acidic. And I don't want that. So hold on. Now that I showed you this, I want to bring the baby bin up so you can see what I'm talking. Okay, this is the baby blue bait tub. And I've got it tilted up at a little bit of an angle so you can see it. And these were the cutest stinking worm balls I ever did see. I'm going to dig in. Look at the cornstarch became, it got too wet so it became mushy. They're avocado pit? No, mango, not avocado. I meant to say mango. And again, you can see couple of pot worms on there. Absolutely fine. Everything in balance. But what I want to dig for, and I hope it's still going to be here. Let's see. Here's a pretty good example. Now this is a worm ball of like baby hatchling worms. They are the cutest little things. And this was the bait bin. This is the bin I took all the worms out of, and I said, well, let me leave it go because I believe there's some cocoons in there that I can capture. And oh my goodness, what I said about the blue worms breeding prolifically. This is more of what hatched after the harvest. And this is more what hatched after the harvest. It's amazing. These little blue guys. Now there is also the possibility that there's some African night crawlers in here. I don't believe so, but it is a possibility. And I'll know, like this guy here, I just lost them. When they grow, I'll certainly know. This won't be difficult to distinguish them. But look at this for a bait bin. What hatches from cocoon. So this is not going to be a bait bin anymore. There's so many worms in here that it's just going to become a second Indian blue bin. So, you know, I hadn't added any fiber, any carbon, nothing at all. I just put the little pile of cornmeal and a bit of food in the middle just to attract them. But turns out there's so many worms, and there's some big ones, adults, that I obviously missed, but these little hatchlings, there's so many of them. The cocoons that were in here had to be, and I picked the cocoons out. I didn't go crazy with the magnifying glass, but I pulled out as many as I could see without making myself insane. And oh my goodness, the amount that must have been in there. So now I've got another blue worm bin here. And these castings are gorgeous. These castings are pretty much finished. So now I've stirred everything back up now. I was ready to harvest this after I baited it. I'm just gonna, other than this wet cornmeal, I think it was, yeah, cornmeal. Other than this and the mango pit, there is no food in here. So if I do want to bait them, just to be able to harvest some of the castings, I'll just put some food back in the center. Within 2 days, they'll all be back in the center. These worms are more aggressive for food than any worm I have ever owned. And you can see how small these are in comparison to the adults. They're just teeny. And they're adorable. Alright, now it's time to peek at the European nightcrawler bin. I do want to pause this while I get it out because it's boring to watch people put in and out their worm bins. Or it can be.